Well, Psalm 15, it's rich, rich with all kinds of pretty amazing stuff that we're going to take some more looks at. And just, I don't have to review every time because if you've been doing Soul Care with Stevie Boy, you know where we're at. But anyway, if this is your first time, here we go. We're in Psalm 15. And the question is, who can have true intimacy with God? I mean, that's my summary of David's two questions in the first verse. And then in verse 2, he begins to answer that question. The one whose walk is blameless, who does what is righteous. One of the aspects of these two things is we live in a world that tends not to honor these two personal characteristics. We have, like it or not, we have this context in which we live in the West, and there are maybe other places around the world that this is not true, but everywhere I have been, this is basically true. When someone lives their life in a blameless kind of way, they will do what is righteous. I mean, that's how you walk blamelessly, by doing what is right. Now, here's the problem. Talked about this last time. We live in a world where the distinction between right and wrong, what is right and what is not. See, we don't even want to say what is wrong. What we will often say is, well, it's just not right. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but that's just not right. Well, I mean, I get the idea. We don't want to be so dogmatic and mean that we're, just everybody who doesn't think like I do is despicable. No. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, is there truth? And if there is, then there is a line, though it might be a wide line, it may be at times be gray, but there is a difference between right and wrong. And if there is morally right, then there has to be morally wrong. Now, postmodernism just doesn't permit that. Postmodernism says no. Well, first of all, there is no such thing as morally right. There might be an expediency factor. There could be a situational factor that would make some things a better choice than others. But right, well, we just don't go there. And if there is no, if there is no objectifiably right, there can't be anything wrong. It's a weird deal. It's a hard place for a Christian to live and really live by our values. Because in a postmodern world, values are always relative. They move around, and what is a value for me could not be sustained in your life because we're not the same people. Whew. It's tough. So here's the thing. This kind of person that David is talking about seems to have only regard for people because they are people, but this person, he or she, doesn't seem to be limited in the way they live their life by what they know is right, by the opinions of others. And we live in a world of opinion polls. Okay. Whose walk is blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart. That's where we left off last time. Speaking the truth. Paul wrote, let's grow up in all things, speaking the truth in love. Now, if you believe there is truth, as I do, the challenge is, how do we speak that truth in love? Well, really, the question is, how do you speak truth? I know people who are very direct. They tend to be quite unfiltered at times. And when they speak the truth, it's the hammer of truth. And it's not about, I like it this way, so that's where I'm going with it. It's just about, this is truth, and deal with it. There are others who speak the truth. There's an old word picture, an iron fist and a velvet glove. And that's kind of what speaking the truth in love sometimes amounts to. When you speak the truth in love, you don't leave out the truth and you don't leave out love. It's real similar to what John said of Jesus in John chapter 1, that he was full of grace and truth. See, truth, truth is solid. It is what it is. You can resist it, you can resent it, but if it's true, it doesn't change because of your opinion. Grace, when applied with truth, grace, getting from God or other people what we could never deserve, applied with truth, or the truth applied with grace, that's speaking the truth in love. And here, David, centuries before, John wrote Jesus' biography and Paul wrote his epistle. Here David says, this person who has this intimate fellowship with God, they speak the truth from their heart. Ancient people believed that the heart was the seat of love. And I have no reason to disbelieve that or to refute that. We work from both our head and our heart. That's how we are wired. And I'm not going to make a huge distinction of which is right and which is wrong. There are times when working from the heart is better. There are times when working from the head is better. But I tell you, when you can work from both your heart and your head, that's what's best. David says, this person who longs for and wants and can have intimacy with God speaks the truth from their heart. Let's talk about, we talked about the truth. I've talked about truth a lot, and I honest to goodness, could have gone on another hour or so on truth. There's a whole branch of philosophy called epistemology, which has to do with the origins of and the nature of truth. And it's huge. I'm not going to go there. You're welcome. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the heart. How does one speak the truth from the heart? Well, to speak the truth in love, I don't think you can get away from issues of the heart. If it's true, has to be, I have to filter the truth. I have to recognize the truth. I have to see it for what it is. That happens with my mind. But what does it mean that I have truth in my heart? Well, the ancients believed that your heart was where the real you resided, not in your head. Your head was for thinking. Your heart was for feeling, and even to a degree, willing things to happen. This, in New Testament times, your heart, that was where your soul and your spirit dwelled. Your heart is, I think it's not an overstatement to say your heart, in this symbolically, you're obviously not talking about the physical muscle that pumps blood through your body. but we're talking about a symbolic source of who and how you are. This is, I'll summarize that concept by saying this is the essence of you, resides in your heart. You and I have known people who could spout the truth incredibly from their mind, but there's somehow this gap, this brooch, this chasm between head and heart. I've often heard it said that the most critical distance in the Christian life is the 18 inches between the heart and the head. So when they're harmonized, when God's truth gets into my mind, it needs to get also into my heart. How does it get in my heart? Well, David wrote, I have hidden your word where? In my heart, so that I will not sin against you. Not in his head. He didn't say, I've hidden your word in my head. No. It's on a deeper level. I have hidden your word in my heart. Now, to speak the truth from your heart means that the truth has become a real, vital, dynamic part of who you are. This is not your truth or their truth or my truth. This is the truth. We must discover the truth with our mind. And then as we dwell upon it, it then begins to sink into our heart, so that it becomes part of the fabric of who we are. The truth, not my truth, not your truth, and not some sociological, cultural, temporary truth. The truth. Does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart. That kind of person, all right, who walks blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart. And then it goes on, and this makes sense that would follow, whose tongue utters no slander. Jesus said, out of the heart come the words that leak out of my mouth. Now, that's my horribly broad, inadequate paraphrase, but our heart is where our words come from. It's like, okay, you can't, I'm not pulling my brain out of the equation, but I'm telling you, what comes out of my mouth does not only reveal what's in my head, reveals what's in my heart. And when a person can speak the truth from their heart, it follows that they do not utter slander with their tongue. Slander. What is slander? Well, it doesn't mean being mean with your words. Okay? I mean, if you were in a kindergarten, we'd probably say it starts there. That's not what it means, though. Slander is for me to speak about you something that is not true, and to do this in a context where it would harm you or your reputation or your enterprise. Slander. Okay. When I'm pointing my finger at the screen and camera, there are 3 fingers pointing right back at me. This is when it comes to our political views, some of us have to be very careful, because slander is a really, really powerful political weapon. And I always point at the other party and say, look, that's their main tactic. I fail to look into the mirror and realize, oh, well, we do that too. slander. We're going to come back to slander, and because for us to move through this well, we got to ask some real important questions of ourselves. But that'll wait till next time on So Care with Stevie Boy.